The play To Sir, With Love. It taught us about compassion and growing up in a chaotic classroom, but behind it all lay an unexpected tragedy. Almost the entire cast met heartbreaking ends, from unexpected accidents and terminal illnesses to long, lonely years. Today, let's look back at their story and honor those who silently brought this masterpiece to life. Sidney Poitier as Mark Thackeray. Sidney Poitier was born on February 20, 1927, in Miami, Florida. At the age of 40, he played Mark Thackeray, an unemployed engineer-turned-teacher facing rebellious students, in the 1967 film To Serve with Love. That performance became a pivotal moment in his career, marking the rise of a charismatic and deeply human actor. However, behind that calm and strong exterior, Poitier's personal life was turbulent. His first marriage to Juanita Hardy gradually crumbled, worn down by constant business trips, long periods of separation, and a 9-year affair with actress Diane Carroll. The breakdown left deep emotional scars on his family, including his 4 daughters, even as he was filming Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And during those tense late nights, that pressure clung to him on every film set. Instead of easing, the pressure intensified, forcing him to bear both the expectations of a pioneering black actor and the weight of his personal mistakes. Entering his second marriage to Joanna Shimkus brought stability to his life, but it was by no means easier. The responsibilities of raising 2 more daughters, dealing with relentless fame, and maintaining control over an illustrious career gradually wore him down. Over time, Alzheimer's disease struck, eroding the sharpness, discipline, and dignity that had once defined him. Sadly, Sidney Poitier passed away on January 6, 2022, at his Beverly Hills home, at the age of 94, due to cardiopulmonary failure, with Alzheimer's disease and prostate cancer as contributing factors. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at approximately $20 million, built from iconic roles and California real estate holdings, reflecting a life of perseverance and principle. Patricia Routledge as Grace. Patricia Routledge was born on February 17, 1929, in Birkenhead, England. At age 38, she played Grace, a warm, witty teacher who supported her students and brought balance to the harsh classroom environment. In the 1967 film To Sir, With Love, this role revealed a quiet talent and impeccable acting ability, which later helped her become one of Britain's most beloved comedic actresses. But while her talent flourished, her love life became more difficult. In her late 20s, she became involved in a clandestine affair with a married man, a choice that left her emotionally vulnerable and apprehensive about long-term commitment. Years later, another relationship, this time with a stage director she admired, ended abruptly, leaving her with a lasting sense of loss. As her fame grew thanks to her image-keeping and the dramatic investigations of Wayne Thropp, the loneliness in her private life deepened. During those busy years, she struggled with depression, facing the harsh reality that success came at the cost of friendships and family. Over time, Routledge devoted herself entirely to acting, her close friendships, and the charities she supported. Life in Chichester offered stability, but the longing for her longtime partner lingered, especially as she gradually withdrew from acting. Sadly, Patricia Routledge passed away on October 3, 2025, at Wellington Grange Nursing Home in Chichester, at the age of 96. Her funeral at Chichester Cathedral on November 5 honored her exceptional talent and the deep affection her audience held for her. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at approximately $2.5 million, accumulated from decades of work in television and carefully managed real estate investments. Jeffrey Bayldon as Theo Weston. Jeffrey Bayldon was born on January 7, 1924, in Leeds, England. At the age of 43, he played Theo Weston, a conservative, rigid colleague, a complete contrast to Mark Thackeray's progressive approach. In the 1967 film To Sir with Love, this role showcased his acting finesse, adding depth to an already emotionally charged film. But behind that calm exterior lay a life full of hardship and complicated relationships. After serving in the Royal Air Force during World War II and suffering minor injuries, Bayldon carried the lingering traumas of wartime. His long-standing partnership with actor Alan Rowe became a source of emotional support in his adult life, but Rowe's death from cancer in 2000 devastated him. The loss left Bayldon withdrawn and deeply grieving, and although he continued to appear in beloved roles such as Catweasel and Wurzel Gummidge, his grief did not subside. Instead, he faced his later career while struggling with the loneliness following Rowe's death. As time passed, Bayldon's isolation grew heavier. He never married, and Rowe's absence created a permanent emotional void. Later, regret over turning down the role of the Doctor in Doctor Who became another silent burden he carried. A reminder of the opportunity he feared would turn him into an eccentric old man. Over time, his health began to decline, and respiratory problems gradually diminished the energy that had fueled his long stage and television career. Sadly, Geoffrey Bayldon passed away on May 10, 2017, in Leeds at the age of 93 due to respiratory complications. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around £1 million, earned over decades of work on stage and television, and a lasting legacy from his most iconic role. Judy Geeson as Pamela Dare. Judy Geeson was born on September 10, 1948, in Arundel, England. At the age of 18, she played Pamela Dare, an intelligent, emotional schoolgirl who develops a relationship with her teacher, revealing a journey from curiosity to adulthood in the 1967 film To Sir with Love. Her acting immediately set her apart as a young actress with depth far beyond her years. However, despite her early rise to fame, Geeson's personal life was marked by many painful ups and downs. In the early 1970s, she lived with set designer Sean Kenny, who died suddenly of cancer in 1973, which devastated her. That loss left a deep mark on her, and grief cast a shadow over much of her later work. Her subsequent marriage to actor Christopher Tabori provided a brief period of stability, but the relationship ended in 1989, leaving her childless and struggling with a career that often demanded solitude rather than support. In attempting to re-establish herself in Hollywood, Geeson faced new obstacles: visa troubles, cultural prejudice against British actresses, and the constant neglect of leading roles that plagued her throughout the 1980s. The relentless workload led to burnout, forcing her to slow down and take a break from acting for nearly a decade. Although she eventually rebuilt her career on American television, particularly in Mad About You and later Gilmore Girls, the emotional wounds from her past losses and the constant need to reinvent herself still haunted her beneath the surface of success. Now 77 years old and living in Los Angeles, Judy Geeson continues to take on selective roles while maintaining a quieter pace of life. She remains admired for the sincerity and vulnerability she brings to her characters, qualities forged through both success and failure. Her estimated net worth of $3 million reflects decades of work in British, film, and American television and a lasting legacy from her most iconic roles. Adrienne Posta as Moira Joseph. Adrienne Posta, whose real name was Adrienne Luan Poster, was born on March 1, 1949, in London, England. At the age of 18, she played Moira Joseph, a lively, fast-talking schoolgirl who brought youthful energy to the classroom, in the 1967 film To Sir with Love. That role marked her first major step into a career that combined acting and music. But behind that brilliant performance, Posta's real life quickly became much more stressful than her cheerful on-screen persona. Her rapid rise in British cinema in the late 1960s brought fame, but also immense pressure. Her marriage to singer Graham Bonnet broke down due to their increasingly successful careers, leaving her to face the public eye alone at a very young age. The split left emotional scars, impacting her second marriage, which eventually ended as well. In the early 1970s, she worked tirelessly, acting in Up the Junction, appearing in Carry On Behind, recording singles, and performing on television, but felt increasingly detached from the image the entertainment industry demanded. As the musical landscape changed, expectations placed on young female artists became increasingly demanding. Posta struggled with this transition, watching the pop style she loved gradually disappear from the mainstream music market. By the late 1970s, the emotional and physical pressure of constantly having to reinvent herself had pushed her to the brink of burnout. Stepping away from the spotlight was no longer a choice, but a necessity, and teaching provided her with stability and purpose. Mentoring young artists at the Italia Conti Academy and in the Midlands allowed her to reconnect with her profession without the pressures of fame. Now 76, Adrienne Posta is semi-retired and continues to teach part-time. She lives a quieter life, away from the hustle and bustle of her early career, but remains connected to the performing arts through her students and her role as patron of the Music Hall Guild. Her estimated net worth is around $500,000, reflecting decades of activity in film, television, music, and education. Susie Kendall as Gillian Blanchard. Susie Kendall, whose real name was Frida Harriet Harrison, was born on January 1, 1937, in Belper, England. At age 30, she played Gillian Blanchard, a compassionate young teacher who quietly supported Mark Thackeray in the 1967 film To Sir with Love. Her gentle presence and natural elegance helped to highlight the film's tender emotional moments. However, off-screen, Kendall's life was much more eventful. Her early marriage to actor Roy Holder became strained as her career rapidly advanced, and the pressures of constantly traveling across Europe for filming pushed the relationship to the brink of collapse in 1973. Her shift to Italian giallo films, including The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, brought success but also exploitation. She often felt she was being treated as a commercial figure rather than respected for her talent, and the grueling work schedule left her physically and mentally exhausted. That exhaustion became one of the main reasons she withdrew from Hollywood sooner than expected when she married musician Sandy Harper in 1978, her life finally beginning to find balance again. The birth of their daughter, Elodie Harper, brought her the stability she had long lacked, and family stability soothed the persistent anxieties of her younger years. She chose peace over pressure, a decision that ultimately shaped her later tranquil pace of life. Susie Kendall is now 88 years old and enjoying a peaceful retirement in London with her family. Although no longer active in film, she is still fondly remembered for her early works and the charm she brought to cinema in the 1960 SE. Her estimated net worth is around $1 million, accumulated from her film career, her modeling years, and careful financial management during her retirement. Faith Brooke as Grace Evans. Faith Brooke was born on February 16, 1922, in York, England. At age 45, she played Grace Evans, a gentle, traditional teacher representing the older generation in the 1967 film To Sir with Love. Her composure and subtle acting provided the necessary balance to the film's emotional rhythm. Despite her elegant on-screen appearance, Brooke's personal life was filled with quiet anxieties and pain. After building her early career alongside her father, actor Clive Brooke, her progress was interrupted by World War II. Serving in the British Territorial Auxiliary Force left her exhausted as she struggled to balance acting and intelligence duties. Her marriage to Dr. Charles Moffat in 1949 provided a brief period of stability, but their subsequent divorce left her raising her son amidst an already demanding career. Her second marriage to Michael Horowitz also ended, and she endured the pain of two failed marriages while continuing to work tirelessly. As the years passed, Brooke devoted herself to television and stage. She continued to perform gracefully, including acclaimed roles in War and Peace and 39 Steps. The emotional pain of personal loss is ever present beneath every achievement, shaping a life defined both by dedication and sorrow. Sadly, Faith Brooke passed away on March 11, 2012, in London at the age of 90, peacefully after a long period of declining health due to age. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at around $800,000, largely accumulated over decades of work on British stage and television, particularly for her role as Mrs. Dare. Lulu as Barbara Pegg. Lulu, whose real name is Marie MacDonald McLaughlin-Laurie, was born on November 3, 1948, in Lennoxtown, Scotland. At the age of 19, she played Barbara Pegg, a mischievous, vibrant schoolgirl who always brightened up the classroom, in the 1967 film To Sir with Love. Her performance, along with the theme song she recorded, instantly made her an international phenomenon. But hidden beneath her vibrant voice and youthful confidence, Lulu faced emotional wounds that fame could never heal. Her marriage to Maurice Gibb of the Bee Gees, though initially passionate, quickly became strained as the two rising stars struggled to maintain a relationship overshadowed by touring, the pressures of the music industry, and their own inexperience. The split was devastating, and although she later found stability with renowned hairstylist John Frieda, that marriage also eventually broke down. After her 1992 divorce, Lulu candidly admitted that the pain from two failed marriages had plunged her into periods of depression, making her hesitant to seek love again. Despite the turmoil, Lulu continued to reinvent herself. While raising her son Jordan, she managed a challenging career, at times experiencing spectacular success, and at other times a puzzling silence. The transition from a 1960s SS pop star to a 1970s entertainer forced her to work harder than ever, recording, touring, hosting, and then rebuilding her career in the 1990s with the album Independence and the collaborative hit Relight My Fire. The emotional wounds from personal losses and the constant self-renewal shaped her into an artist who often used music as a means of survival. Today, Lulu is 77 and still performing, her voice still strong and her stage presence unmistakable. With an estimated net worth of around $30 million, she is one of the few artists to have a sustained career spanning 6 decades, forged through fame, hardship, and the determination to continue singing. Christian Roberts as Bert Denham. Christian Roberts, whose full name is Christian Charles Roberts, was born on March 17, 1944, in Southmore, England. In 1967, at the age of 23, he played Bert Denham, a rebellious student who gradually transformed from defiance to respect, and then to a beloved figure. This role made a spectacular debut, instantly establishing him as one of the most promising young faces in British cinema. But off-screen, Roberts' life quickly became entangled in emotional turmoil. His early relationships with actresses Judy Geeson and Susie Kendall caused a stir and created tension within the film industry, ultimately contributing to the breakdown of his first marriage. Furthermore, his film opportunities dwindled, and growing frustration led him back to the world of the stage, where he had been shaped from his early years. Over time, new pressures emerged. Roberts attempted to reinvent himself as a stage director, and later became involved in the family business. But financial misfortune struck repeatedly. 2 separate bankruptcies left him grappling with prolonged economic pressure, and the stress continued even after he retired to Barbados to run the Lone Star restaurant. Meanwhile, his prostate cancer progressed silently, turning his final years into a difficult, painful, and debilitating battle. Sadly, Christian Roberts passed away on December 26, 2022, at the age of 78 from cancer. He died surrounded by his family, including his children from his first marriage, after decades of ups and downs and tireless efforts to rebuild his life. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $500,000, reflecting a life shaped by theater, film, and the restaurant business that helped him navigate his final years. Anne Bell, born Anne Forrest Bell, was born on April 29, 1938, in London, England. At the age of 29, she played Mrs. Dare, the worried and protective mother of Pamela, in the 1967 film To Sir with Love. Her realistic and emotional performance brought to life the portrayal of working-class families in the film. Behind her calm on-screen persona, Belle's real life was marked by periods of significant instability in her career. Her soaring career in the early 1960s, including her starring role in Jane Eyre, was quickly followed by a difficult decade in the 1970s, when significant roles for women became scarce. Financial pressure mounted as she endured long periods of unemployment, and this stress pushed her to the brink of giving up acting entirely. During this difficult period, she turned to writings about performing arts as a way to stay connected to her profession and regain her confidence. Her marriage to actor Robert Lang in 1971 finally brought emotional stability, though not without challenges. Balancing 2 acting careers while raising 2 children created constant tension in the family, especially as Belle struggled with the instability of her workload. Lang's death in 2004 was a heartbreaking turning point, forcing her to rebuild her life while still preserving the last projects they had worked on together. Now 87, Anne Bell lives in England, occasionally returning to acting while maintaining a private, peaceful life. Her net worth is estimated at around $1 million, earned from decades of work in British television and theater.